Hello, everybody, and welcome to Soul Standing. My name is Beth, and I'm here today to talk to you about what I finished over the weekend and what I plan to read at least at the beginning of this coming week. So, books that I completed. I finished Escape from Atlantis by Kate O'Hearn. This was a buddy read with Fiona from Reads and Eats, and we did not jibe with this. It's a very quick read. But for me, there were some things that were very concerning. There's a lot of um, racism, basically. Um, and they keep saying, like, if one person would just act against it, it only takes one person to spark a change. And the main character is like, well, I'm not going to be here long enough to change anything. So we end up with her being there for several months and she doesn't really try because she's so focused on finding her family and get out, which is understandable. But while she's there, when she's not able to go find her family or to go work on things, she could have been trying to do that. Also, one of the reasons why I wasn't a huge fan of the Pegasus series, and much more so in this book, the language does not sound like a modern 12-year-old. Like, this book came out just a few years ago. Like, it's not super old. This was published in 2021. Yeah, there are 4 books out in the series. This was published in 2021. It does not sound like a 12-year-old. There's an 11 and a 12-year-old, and there's a couple of things like he calls her shorty and she calls him creep. That might be something that they would do, but especially when they're fighting, like it just doesn't sound. There are several times where they say things that just don't sound like a modern 11 and 12-year-old would sound like. Um, and that's just me. Like, I could be wrong, but I teach that age group, and it just something felt off to me about it. Um, and then there are a lot of things where we didn't really get a good explanation, and they might get explained further on in the series. But I don't want to know badly enough to continue on in the series. So I'm just gonna donate the book to our local library and move on with my life. Another one that I finished is Lafcadio Hearn's In Ghostly Japan, Japanese Legends of Ghosts, Yokai, Yurei, and Other Oddities. This one, now mind you, this was written like 130 years ago or so. So the language is like, it's really accessible for having been written that long ago. But Lord have mercy, there's one section where like it's in 4 parts, and the first part is explaining that this game exists. Or no, the first part is explaining what kinds of incense there are. The second part is explaining that this game exists where they play with these incenses. The third one is explaining how you play this game with the incenses and that it's like a huge deal. And then the fourth part is like shorter than the other 3 parts. And it talks about like the ghost story that goes along with it. So some of them are very interesting, and then some of them have like these long, several part explanations before you get into it. And I found it interesting, but I'm not entirely certain that a middle grader would. However, I can definitely see parts of this being something that a middle grade reader would enjoy. I also finished a novel in verse um, by Sarah Crossan, and it was called The Weight of Water. Let me see if I can get you to be able to see the book, um, because I do not have it physically. This was on my Kindle app on my phone. I'm trying to decide if I should get a Kindle. I don't read on my phone very often, but getting into my PhD research and things like that, would it be better if I had a Kindle so I could just pull it up and read and I didn't have to print off every essay, every article that I'm trying to read? There you can kind of see it. That's The Weight of Water by Sarah Crossan. I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. The basis of the story is that a girl and her mother immigrate from Poland to Great Britain because her father had left them 2 years previous, and they just really didn't know what to do. And then they got a letter from him that had a very clear postmark, and her mom was like, "Pack your stuff, we're going." And so they immigrated and started looking because it didn't have a return address, it just had the city's postmark. So they immigrated, and she has to start school. She's trying to learn English, and she can do all of the schoolwork, but she can't really read English well. And so they mistakenly put her with younger kids, and it's this whole big deal. And this book follows not only their search for her father, but also her search for herself. Who is she? These girls are bullying her. How come she's not making friends? What does this boy like her or not? Where is her father? All of these things kind of wrapped up into one. So I enjoyed it. Like I said, I gave it a 4 out of 5. Now, as for what I am reading this coming week, Elena and I started Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book. This is the classic children's literature book club book pick for middle grade May. So, of course, Classic Children's Literature Book Club, we pick one classic kids book a month when I have the mental capacity to do it. And we read the book and we learn about the author. I'll put up an author bio video sometime soon. And then at the end of the month, we discuss whether or not we think this was written for children or if it's actually what is now the middle grade category. Was it written for little kids or for tweens? So myself and my tween, the 10-year-old, are reading this together. We have the physical form and the audiobook. And we've just gotten the first 13 pages read. We will listen to the audiobook on our way to school in the morning. And, we like to discuss it and do all that jazz. So at the end of the month, you'll not only be hearing from me about my thoughts, but you'll also be hearing from Elena on what she thinks about the Jungle Book. So far, there are a couple of things I had forgotten about in the very beginnings. We've got when Mowgli was a baby and he was adopted by the wolf pack. I've read the book before a long time ago and only once. I'm not even sure I made it all the way through. I think I did, but the Disney Jungle Book is my dad's favorite movie that kids can watch with him. His favorite movie is Purple Rain. Shh. But this has been a part of my whole life, and there are a lot of things at the beginning of the Jungle Book, the movie, that you just don't get at the beginning. I'm sorry, the Jungle Book, the book, that you don't get at the beginning of the movie. But anyway, that is what I've started. I do have a couple of books on my Kindle app that I might read. So one is Flying in a Cage, a novel in verse by Melody J. Bremen. One is Apple and Rain, which is a story to fix a broken heart. It's supposedly a middle grade. We will see, and that is by Sarah Crossan. Then we have The Way the Cookie Crumbled and Other Positively Preposterous Poems by Lizzie Judge. Those are all that I have on there right now, but there could be more later. I do have several options in audiobook, but I want to pick out my next physical copy with you guys. So down there on that bottom shelf, right there are 21 middle grade books. And I would like to put in a random number generator, and I'm going to choose it and show you guys what number it chooses. Minimum 1, maximum 21. Generate. Oh, heavens. Hold on. Okay, can y'all see that? Generate 19. Okay, I should have gone with a 4. So let's look down there. Start from this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. The Collectors by Jacqueline West. All right, so this is on my TBR for the beginning of the week. Hopefully I can get it done soon. Other than that, I have been writing as well. I'm not quite to 8,000 words in my novel, but my professor changed what we needed to get turned in, because there were a couple of us writing novels, and she was like, 3 chapters. You don't have to do a whole quarter of your piece. So she updated and let us know like the equivalent of 1 to 3 chapters, and then like 1,000-word explanation, introduction kind of deal, and then 1,000 to 1,500-word discussion on how you chose what to adapt, because we had to do something that was an adaptation of something else. So I got that done and turned in, and now this is a passion project instead of a school project. I am still going to continue writing on it this week, but I don't know how driven I'm going to feel since I don't have to try to hurry up and write enough to turn in. But that is definitely going to be part of my week as well. So here are the 2 physical books that I'm going to be partaking in at the beginning of this week, and my journal, my notebook, and that's all I've got for you guys today. So happy Monday. I hope you have an amazing day and amazing week, and I will talk to you again soon. Until next time, stay safe out there.